All right, rock and roll. Welcome to the Scorched Earth Political Podcast for Wednesday, April 2nd, 2025. Welcome one, welcome all, welcome friend, welcome foe. I'm your host, John. If you could, though, very first thing, hit that like and subscribe button. It means a lot to us. And we're off and running, right? Now, here in California, I'm not sure what the rules are the rest of the United States or the world at large. When you have a place that serves food or serves beverages, they're supposed to have an accessible bathroom. And, you know, I understand that businesses got a lot of things going on, but, you know, that's part of the contract you make with the public. You're going to sell them food, you're going to sell them stuff. They need to have a restroom. They don't, you know, it's just not cool, right? So, and I understand they don't serve food here, but a Target or a Walmart, I get the heebie-jeebies even when I say that name. I hate them so much. They should provide restrooms for the public at large, right? Well, I was in a Walgreens, you know, and I had to use the restroom. I bought some medicine for my parents, and I asked the lady at the counter, you know, can I use the restroom? She said, fine. Gives me the code. Now, it is so far away from the front register, you wonder if you're still in the same zip code by the time you get to the restroom, right? So you go through the back door, and then you go down a hall, and then you make a right, and it literally seems like it's a plot twist in Mission Impossible, you know? Like, can I get to the bathroom in time? And so I get to the bathroom, there's two restrooms there, and I punch in the code 1448. Doesn't work. Oh, son of a gun. Okay, 1448 pound. No. So then I go over to the other one, keypad it in. Nope, doesn't work. And I'm sure there's some type of sadistic pleasure that the lady at the front of the store is getting because she knows that the code she gave me isn't right. that chump just literally put on, 2,000 steps just trying to get to the restroom. So I am starting to take in the shape of a lemon, right? I'm getting rounder. We all know that. And I'm turning yellow. I am turning yellow on yellow. Big Bird ain't got nothing on John, right? So I head back to the front. I said, hey, the code didn't work. She goes, what code did I give you? And I said, 1448. She goes, did you push pound? I said, yes, I did. She says, let me look. And she goes, oh, it's 1443. All right, let's do it. Let's get those 2,000 steps in again. So I head back there, put it in. Doesn't work. Doesn't work. So I'm walking down the hall because at this point, I literally feel if I brush against a wall, I literally will explode. And I run into an associate, and I said, hey, the restroom, do you have the code? And she goes, oh, they're out of order. All right. Now let's see if I can make it. We are really on the Mission Impossible. Forget that I'm trying to go into Langley and get some information. I am just trying to make it safely to a restroom, okay? Oh, God. God bless them. If you don't have restrooms, don't tell people you do. Literally, there should be criminal charges against Walgreens. That's all I'm saying. All right, we're off and running. We got a lot to get to today. We're taking no prisoners, telling no lies. I feel like Will Ferrell in the movie Old School. You know, we have so much to get to. You know, he just recently gets married. He goes to a frat party. A couple of the frat brothers say, hey, take some shots, take some drinks, beer bong. And he's like, no. Got a big day tomorrow. Going to Bed Bath & Beyond. Then me and the wife are going to go to Home Depot. We're going to try and get an Olive Garden. I just don't know if we're going to get it all done. And the guys are looking at him like, what happened to you, man? When did you give up on the game? Oh, man. I miss him when he was actually vibrant. All right. Let's start out with, and I will say thank you Thank you to one of my best friends, Bill. He gave me some more advice, and I'm looking at the screen, and it kind of looks like I spent like 20 minutes trying to get everything kosher here. I actually put a laser up. Yeah. Hey, not just a pretty face. I'm a tech bro, okay? I got a laser. Damn you. And I thought I got it, but man, it still looks a little askew. I don't know. It's a work in progress here, okay? Leave a comment. Leave a comment. Tell me how messed up I am on home interior decorating. We already know that. Maybe I need Bed Bath & Beyond and Home Depot. I probably do. Maybe even a little run to Lowe's. I need something going on. All right. So we have the results from the Wisconsin Supreme Court race between the liberal Susan Crawford and the evil Republican. I don't even want to mention his name. The Elon Musk, Susan Crawford won by almost 10 points, 9 points to be exact. It was a big victory. The last time they had a run for the Supreme Court, 1.8 million Wisconsin voters showed up. Tonight, it was almost 2.5 million. It was a very, very big turnout. Elon Musk has been in Wisconsin for the last week, and he kind of has made it a referendum on Trump. That always works if they win. If they don't, I had nothing to do with it. It was an aberration, whatever. And let's make no mistake. Today, the liberals are celebrating. On the other side, the Republicans are celebrating winning the 2 House races, which we're going to get to in a second. In Florida, you hear what you want to hear, you see what you want to see. But I do think this Wisconsin race, in a state that Trump did win, was a bigger indicator of where we are politically in this country right now. Like I said, Elon has spent the last week there. He gave away $2 million checks. And I'm sure it's just a coincidence. One of those $1 million checks went to the head of the Young Republicans in Madison, Wisconsin. Nothing to see here. It's like when you put your hand in that drawer for the big drawing and there's somebody's taped at the bottom. I think that's a MASH episode, and then you can pick it up like, oh, look who won. Yeah, right. And the liberals are celebrating. It's going to be a big thing to keep that Supreme Court for voter rights, for union bargaining rights, collective bargaining rights. Those are things on the docket. Come this fall, we will see what happens there. But it is a nice victory for us. It is the most expensive Supreme Court race in the history of the United States. Elon Musk himself, it is estimated, put over $17 million into the race. I wonder how he sells this to Trump. I don't think it really is going to matter to Trump because he wants to be next to a billionaire who can fund literally 100 House races next year. They're already looking at that. Let's go to Florida. We had Randy Fine, the Republican, and Jimmy Patronis. Both won their districts. Both got about 56% to 42% for the opponent. These are very heavily Republican areas, and I'm sure that's how they're going to play it up. But the interesting thing to me is they won by half in terms of percentage of what Trump carried these districts just a couple months ago in November. So it is kind of an odd thing. I mean, you can sit there and say, well, his popularity is dissipating, and that typically does happen for any president. Their ratings go down, but all I'm going to tell you is Trump is at about 50-50 right now. At this point in 2021, Joe Biden was at 60%. So that's quite a bit of difference, right? All right, so now let's get off and running. Like I say, we're taking no prisoners, telling no lies. Let's see what we got on the Trump deportation front.
Administrative error. That's how ICE is explaining why a Maryland man with protected legal status was sent to a notorious prison in El Salvador. Kilmar Abrego Garcia's attorneys are now asking the government of El Salvador to return him to the U.S. to his wife and son.
Okay, so to explain what happened here, this guy isn't even Venezuelan, right? He emigrated to the United States. He was being persecuted. He married a lady who is an American citizen. They have a 5-year-old child with disabilities. And for everything I have seen, this guy is leading the squeaky clean life. He has never had a criminal conviction. He hasn't had a legal sanction against him at all in his entire time here in the United States. But somehow he got put on the plane with all the Venezuelan gang members, got his head shaved. Because if you look at that picture right there, all their heads are shaved. When they get put into custody, this isn't no joke, man. This isn't SWAT and we're taking you to jail. They handcuff you, shackle your legs, and shave your head. Wow. They ain't messing around.
Vice President J.D. Vance defended ICE's mistake on X by calling Abrego Garcia a convicted MS-13 gang member with no legal right to be in the U.S. So
This, from his lawyer, from his family, is absolutely not true. Now, JD has been known to stretch the truth a little. You know, let's just go back to that Greenland shot a week ago. Yeah, Denmark's dropping the ball. They're terrible. Yeah, okay.
Let's talk about this. Senior reporter Catherine Falders joins me now for more. Catherine, we understand, according to the complaint filed in federal court by his lawyers, that Abrego Garcia was arrested 2 weeks ago as he finished up a shift as a sheet metal worker apprentice. So
the guy is an apprentice in a union sheet metal shop. He's walking out and they arrest him.
did ICE and the Trump administration make this error, and how are they responding?
Well, Stephanie, it's a great question because we don't really know exactly how they made this error. They haven't detailed this publicly entirely. We do know, and we do know, as it's been revealed in court papers from administration officials, that it was an administrative error. They aren't really explaining how it happened, but they are.
Now, let's dig down on this before we get to that hideous human being, Carolyn Levitt. They're saying it's an administrative error, right? But how does that comport with him saying he's an MS-13 gang member, right? Because if he was, it wouldn't be an administrative error. And I don't understand how the administration is trying to walk both sides of this line. But that's just me.
Saying that the court does not have the power to bring him back to the United States and that the court can't order the government of El Salvador to return him. Now, the administration is also saying that even though this was an administrative error, the man allegedly has ties to MS-13.
Okay, so that's the game they're playing, and we're going to move off that. There's two things that you really have to understand here. First of all, they say it's an administrative error, but that he was also a gang member. Those two things don't comport, right? They give you no evidence that he was a gang member. There's no criminal convictions. But also, let's talk about the most heinous thing is they say, well, he's out of the country. We have no say in him getting him back. You're paying $6 million to this San Salvador prison to hold U.S. people, in that prison. You're basically paying them. It's a pay-for-play prison, right? And you have no right to get him back. I got a funny feeling if it was Carolyn Levitt's brother, they'd find a way to get him back. Somehow, they got Christy, dog killer gnome, down there for a couple photo ops last weekend. I bet you she didn't have to hitch a ride up on the Greyhound. They figured a way to down. They're going to send more flights down there. Why can't they put him on a flight to bring him back to America? Sorry, nothing to see here. We got nothing going on, right? Yeah, right. I mean, look, you know I'm hard on the Trump administration, okay? But at the end of the day, I want to understand this. We all make mistakes. Now, I think most of the people in the audience here think that they have malice or terrible forethought in terms of the decisions they make. They come from a place of anti-morality, anti-empathy, right? Whether they do or not, I think we all know they do, but let's just say they don't. Look, if you make a mistake, people will forgive you. Just own it. Don't sit here and double down, kind of like the Signal chat. Okay, you effed up. All you need to do is release a statement like, look, we hit the wrong button. It will not happen again. We'll use secure government communications. That's it. The storm will blow over. I don't know if anybody here remembers, but in 2001, when the Bush administration totally failed and didn't worry about the 22 guys taking flight lessons in Florida, even though Bush had got briefings of it literally weeks before, nothing to see here, CYA, the people of the United States forgave him. Okay? Hey, the terrorists ran some planes into some buildings. It's terrible. We lost a lot of great Americans. You know what? We're going to rally as a country. We're going to get through it. I think that is the spirit of the American people, but the Trump administration doesn't believe that. They believe, hey, we're just going to act like we're perfect, and they just build up more mistrust. Why do you think the Democrats got to the place they are? It's because you lie to us on Monday, you lie to us on Tuesday, and then you try and F us on Friday. And you didn't even give us a dinner, right? You told us we had to go out. We had to pay for it. Like, wow. Thanks. Thanks a lot. All right. Some odd things in the news. Today, my friends, we're going to see what Liberation Day means. That's going to be a 4 p.m. Eastern time ceremony in the Rose Garden where Trump is going to roll out the tariffs. Now, the White House had said that they rolled them out on Tuesday. How appropriate, April Fool's Day. The stock market is reacting very, very volatilely. I'm not even sure if that's a word, volatility. It's fluctuating sporadically. It's not taking it well. The thing that Wall Street does is they just want to know what the plan is. Just keep us on the plan. If it's left, fine. If it's right, fine. But just tell us what it is so we know what to expect and how to program and how to get ready to meet the challenges that it'll bring, right? I'm going to give you some economic data that's coming out, and I guess you can make of it as you will. To me, it scares the bejesus out of me. Trump is threatening the biggest tariffs since the 1940s, okay? He says there's going to be some economic pain in the interim, but in the long term, it's going to be, well, yeah, I guess. Maybe for the billionaires, they're going to be able to scoop up all our property because it's all being foreclosed because we can't afford anything, but okay. Now, they keep claiming, and this is where kind of like it was an administrative error, but he was a gang member. Those two things don't coincide, right? It's the same thing with tariffs. They say we're gonna generate $600 billion a year in tariffs so that people will buy America. Well, if they buy American, then you don't get the money from the tariffs. I mean, really? Do I got to be an economics professor at Wharton? Oh, that's the school that Trump's dad paid for him to get a degree at. Sorry. Princeton? How about we do that, a real economics school? All right. That's what Peter Navarro, his head tariff guy, the guy who, I hope you enjoyed that couple months in prison, Pete. Looks like you're a little different. I hope you had soap on a rope there. So at the end of the day, I think we all understand something, that people, for whatever product they want, whatever price range, are going to typically go for the most financially advantageous. Like if you want to buy a doorknob and you have a little more money, you're probably going to spend $100. If you're a little more, if your pocketbook is a little tighter, you might only spend $50, right? But it's not like the guy who's spending $100 wants to pay an extra $25. I mean, that just really eschews the whole situation there, right? But let's get to the economic data, all right? And I'm not really big on it because I think typically when I see these podcasts and they start going through the economic data, it's just bloody boring. It really is. I mean, look, John, I'll know at the end of the week what kind of money I have in my checking account. I get it. I really do. But I'm going to go over some stuff. This week, actually, job openings are now a 4-year low. The job market is cooling. This isn't to depress you. Look, if you get depressed during this podcast, think about Wisconsin. That'll bring a smile to your face, okay? A frown is a smile upside down, okay? I'm just telling you. Manufacturing is contracting. The Institute for Supply Management Manufacturing PMI, and I tried to figure out what this was. Please, I couldn't, okay? You want to call me an idiot? That's fine. Leave it in the comments. I'm cool with that. Registered an economic reading of 49.0, and it is down from 50.3 just 30 days ago. When Trump took over, it was at 52, all right? Now, according to this economic data, if you're below 50, it indicates that the economy is contracting. If it's above 50, it tells you that the economy is expanding. Kind of like my waistline, right after I go to In-N-Out. Prices paid by companies index surged to 69.4, up from 62.4. I'll be honest, I don't know what the F that even means, right? But here's what I want to garner from it. It's up over 10% since February 1st, right? Yeah, 2 months. And it's the highest reading since June of 2022, right? That's basically when COVID was starting to wind down. Economists, people much smarter than me, and believe me, the fourth grader that you know, that you take to school, that you pick up from daycare is smarter than me. We all know that. That's okay. The trolls have a feast. Put it in the comments. Had predicted a reading of 64.6. It's 0.5 higher than even they thought. And these economists, let me tell you something. When they predict stuff, they're usually pretty close. I mean, yeah, they're not perfect, but they don't miss it by 5%. They don't do that. All right. We're going to get to probably our final story. Let's see. Yeah. No, I got a story here. It just came out tonight. Like I said, I do this the night before. Oh, God, listen to this one. So, our favorite cuckold, Mike Johnson, leader of the House, seemed like he had a funny thing on trying to get some legislation passed today. He wanted to ban remote voting in the House of Representatives. Now, this affects everybody there. They got to be on the floor, which I really don't understand because he needs every vote. I would think you do everything within your power to do it, but he has his own calculus. That's fine, whatever. But two of his Republican cohorts are women who are pregnant currently. One's 9 months. I believe the other is 6 months, 5 months. God bless them. I hope the babies are healthy and happy. That's a beautiful thing. And they led the revolt of 9 Republicans who stopped this legislation. And Mike threw a temper tantrum like he was Rumpelstiltskin. He wasn't happy at all. They joined the Democrats and stopped the proposal from moving through. And I want to harken back, and I know we don't remember this because we didn't even know who this little pissant was, Mike Johnson. In 2020, he voted remotely on Zoom because Nancy Pelosi, a real leader, a strong woman, an accomplished woman. All right, maybe she's a little corrupt. Okay, her husband makes a lot of money off stocks. Okay, hey, she ain't the first one to do that, right? But I love her. I don't care. I'll die on the. I'll fall on the sword for Nancy. I love that lady. They all voted from home for the basically 6 months. What's the difference now, Mike? Come on. You did it. Guess it's different. You know, it's kind of like reproductive rights. It's always different for a man versus a woman, right? Yeah, you go ahead and carry that kid to term. Yeah, don't worry about it. Don't worry if it threatens your life. Who cares if it's like my niece? You know? She had a miscarriage inside. and the state, the great state of Arizona, wouldn't let her remove that child. She had to go to go to Colorado to have the child the dead fetus taken out of her body. Her life was threatened. That is what anybody out there who's listening, and if you're a woman and you're pregnant, I would not be traveling to the South. I would not be traveling to Arizona. F you, and then 2 words, F you again. Because if you have complications in the pregnancy, they are not going to help you. They are not going to help you. That still happens today. Finally, maybe one of the biggest clowns in the clown show, Pam Bondi, Attorney General. Yeah, got that. Said the DOJ will pursue death penalty against accused CEO killer Luigi Mangione. He is the gentleman who allegedly, and I'm going to keep using allegedly, shot Brian Thompson in Manhattan in December, CEO of United Healthcare. Pam says that this is basically a death penalty offense. You know what I say? Let's not worry about Luigi. Let's just give him hopes and prayers. The same goddamn thing you do when kids get massacred and hunted down in these schools. Nothing we can do about gun control. Nothing we can do. And you know the funny thing is, I have a lot of friends who are Republicans, who are gun owners, and they are literally the most responsible people in the world. They are for responsible gun control. They want background checks for mental health, things like that. The NRA is cock blocking it all. They won't allow it. So we get guys like in Tucson, who comes basically out of a mental health clinic, gets a 9mm and shoots up Gabby Gifford. God bless her, that beautiful lady. You know, I've been to that parking lot in Tucson. I know that Safeway. Shooting fish in a barrel, right? So Pam Bondi says now we're going to go for the death penalty for Luigi. All right. Now, I want to bring up some things about United Healthcare. And look, I did 2 years of pre-law. I'm not a lawyer. I'm not a barrister. I have very little legal understanding of actual concepts that go on. But I have a modicum of what is basically certain defenses, right? I was more into corporate law than criminal, but I have an understanding sort of it. So let's hear some of these great statistics about United Healthcare, whose CEO was shot on a Manhattan street. United Healthcare has the highest in-network claim denial rate of nearly 1 out of 3 claims. All right. Don't need universal health care here. Nah, don't worry about it. As soon as Bernie dies, it all goes away. Some more facts. In 2023, 1 in 5 adults reported their insurance denied them a claim. All right. You know, when they say, the Republicans say, and they said this with Obamacare, the ACA, whatever you want to call it, I don't want government controlling my health care. Let me tell you something. HMOs are worse than the government. They are worse. My parents are on Medicare. They love it. They love Medicare. In 2023, 73 million out of 392 million in-network claims were denied in the U.S. That's our healthcare system. And there's a lot of good things about our healthcare system, but you know, the fact that every American doesn't naturally have healthcare, that we can build new planes, we can build new battleships, we can, do the F-47, which is literally going to cost trillions of dollars, and we can't get healthcare in this country. It's just bullshit. It's just straight bullshit. Our own citizens. Yeah, hey, we love you when it's time to vote. The rest of the time, piss off. We don't give a rat's ass about you. All right. That's it for today. I want to thank you for being here. I want to tell you I love you all. We're going to make this. We're going to make it work. I'm telling you, I'm really happy with the Wisconsin thing. It brightens up my day. It brightens up my week. Also, you do too. I appreciate the likes. I appreciate the comments. It means a lot to us. And we're going to win because we're on the side of right. We are on the side of empathy and morality. And we are on the side of democracy. All right, my friends. I hope you have a good day, and I'll see you soon.